anyway, Peter Hess said that denying science is a profoundly unsound theological position.
Amen.
Science, and this is a person who's, just to remind you, since we had that little break, but he's the Faith Project Director at the National Center for Science Education in Oakland, California. And
now, this next statement I actually like.
He says, science and faith are but two ways of searching for the same truths.
I completely agree. And the reason that I love this thing so much is that it goes against Noma, and it goes against all these other claims that they're looking for different things or different explanations. It's nonsense. Science and faith, in the religious sense, are two ways of searching for the same truths. And the difference is that science finds them and faith asserts them. That's the difference.
Right.
Science, the scientific method, the processes, the application of logic and reason and evidential standards, that is the single most reliable, consistently reliable way of learning about the universe. As a matter of fact, nobody else has even demonstrated that some other way of knowing or way of discovering reality could be anywhere near as good or reliable. And if they were to do so, they'd have to use science as the initial standard. I mean, there's a reason that we talk about ages ago, the logical absolutes and how they are the cornerstone upon which we build all this stuff that gets to here. That doesn't mean that science is foolproof, that we don't make mistakes, that our methods are godlike. That's not the case at all. It's just about, if you want to learn about reality, how do you go about doing it? Which method of discovery has the best results? Which method of investigation yields the most consistently reliable results?
Right.
And between those two methods, and I scoff mildly at the religion faith method because science is the clear winner, but where science actually does demonstrate this, religion and I won't put that one back, but religion demonstrates nothing. If anything, it comes out exactly as we'd expect from chance, by and large. It reminds me
of one of the letters we got recently where somebody wrote in and said, "What do you think about the God of Joseph Campbell?" And he said, "What do you think about his statements on God?" And I said, "I don't have a problem with Joseph Campbell because Campbell says these are myths. He says these are symbols." And they are. So, and one of the examples that I used when I wrote back was, you have this event. People look up and they see the sun start over here and end over here. Mm-hmm. And that's a day. And they don't understand what they're looking at.
Right.
And so they say, that is Apollo driving a fiery chariot across the sky. And in the meantime, it's going to help us out because there's this set of stars over here, and that's Apollo. And if you're sailing the sea and you need to navigate the stars, and there's all these little stories to help you remember where the stars are, that's extremely helpful.
Yep.
So you have this myth that says that you tell the kid, there goes Apollo, there he is, you see him floating across the sky. And that's a myth. It's not really an explanation. It's a story. Now, whether or not people literally believe it or understand it's a story is irrelevant in the sense of it's just a story. It doesn't matter if you believe it's true. But in the reality, in the pragmatic reality that I have to live in a world with some people that believe it's true and some people don't understand it's just a story, that does become important. So yeah, I understand that. But that is not an explanation for what's happening with regard to what people are seeing with the sun. It's a story to help people sort of frame it into something that they can understand in a reality where they really don't understand what it is they're looking at, where they don't understand this is a giant star that the planet is circling.
Yeah. And the other thing is, of course, as we gradually increase our understanding of that, the next thing is that, okay, there's this ball of light that's not necessarily Apollo, and it's going around us. And then later on, we find out that that's not the case, that we're actually going around it, but because of the... But anyway, you were talking about, the inability to understand things and to make up stories and stuff to go along. And I hate to just pick on Christians, so for the Muslims sitting out there who would scoff at these ancient people who came up with stories about, Apollo or Zeus. Let me just stick with Zeus for a second. You would scoff at the ignorance of humanity to think that lightning bolts are actually being, plunged
hurled
down by Zeus. Okay, those are the early days of religion. And when religion comes in conflict with the discoveries of science, with the increase of our understanding about reality, one of a couple different things can happen. The religions fall by the wayside and are no longer worshipped because they are clearly wrong, or the religions are adopt changes, they're adapted, modified, and if you follow that trend of change, what you'll find is that the claims that religion make become increasingly more vague, increasingly harder to pin down, increasingly useless to the individuals. It becomes nothing more than personal feelings or a personal relationship with Allah or Jesus or whatever. And so, but you could, and I know that there are some people out there who claim that, yeah, we worship the ancient Greek gods, and okay, sure you do. But you could say Zeus does hurl lightning bolts. It doesn't matter that you found a scientific explanation about static electricity in moisture evaporated in the air, and that this produces lightning. That is the process that Zeus uses. And when you Christians, especially you anti-science, anti-evolution, anti-reality, fundamentalist, literalist, young earth creationist buffoons come out and try to shift a little bit. You've realized that now your stance is so rigid you can't possibly ever say it and be accepted in any kind of reasoned culture. And so you want to shift more to this Christian moderate or this theistic moderate that says, well, okay, we have good science that, evolution occurs, but only macroevolution and not microevolution, or evolution is the process that God used. You sound just as stupid as if somebody said that the static electricity that forms lightning is the process that Zeus uses to hurl lightning bolts.
Well, it's exactly the same thing.